Welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast, where we're helping people improve their quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And now, your hosts, nutrition and wellness coaches, international speakers, Adam and Shoshana Chaim.
Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are
Propelled by Plants. Today we bring to you episode 492, The Benefits of Cow Hug Therapy with Ellie Laks.
In this episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast, we talk with Ellie Laks about lessons you could learn from a cow and a chicken and cow hug therapy. It was amazing to hear how cows partake in many self-care rituals. We found it so interesting to hear the connection she had with animals from a young age, and that led us down the path to exploring the intuition children have with animals and in general, and how that changes as we age. We explored the state of the world's ecosystem and what we could do to make this world a healthier, better place for future generations.
Ellie is the founder of the Gentle Barn Foundation, a national organization that rescues and rehabilitates unwanted animals and heals people with the same stories of abuse and neglect. Ellie is a powerful speaker, celebrated animal welfare advocate, humane educator, animal communicator, and the author of My Gentle Barn, Creating a Sanctuary Where Animals Heal and Children Learn to Hope, and has her new book coming out soon, Cow Hug Therapy. Ellie founded the Gentle Barn in 1999. She invented her own gentle healing method that allows old, sick, injured, and terrified animals to fully recover. Ellie is the creator of Cow Hug Therapy and has hosted hundreds of thousands of people who have come to the Gentle Barn seeking hope. Enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, now it's more important than ever to stay close and connected to us as we're going to be making some changes here at Plant Trainers. So please head over to planttrainers.com and get our plant-based comfort foods recipe book for free. That's a $14.99 value just by signing up for our newsletter so that you can know what changes are, because we want to make sure that we stay in touch.
And now for a moment of gratitude.
I'm grateful for this podcast and who it allows me to meet, both listeners but also the guests. They're really, really special, and I believe that everybody's coming into our life for a reason.
I'm grateful for listening back and editing this episode because it reminded me of the work we did at the farm sanctuary as a family, and that was a great time together.
It was. Ellie Laks, thank you so much for joining us on the Plant Trainers Podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
We're super excited to talk about our beautiful subjects of the day. But before we get into that, I wanted to know if you have a moment of gratitude to share with us and the listeners.
I love that question because that's actually how I start my every day, is in gratitude. And I have so much to be grateful for. But I think that if I had to pick just one, I am just grateful to wake up today and be able to live this dream and do this work and fulfill this purpose. Waking up and actually doing what you've come here to do is the best feeling in the world. And I'm very grateful every day that I get to do it.
And I love how much meaning there is behind that, and at the same time, how simple it is. And we need to remember to be grateful for those simple things. And it allows us to, I think, bring so much more meaning into our life.
Agreed.
Beautiful. All right. So I would love to know the backstory to how you found the plant-based vegan lifestyle and a little bit about what changed for you.
So I have a very long journey. I was born an animal lover, as I think we all are, but I was lucky enough not to outgrow it. And, but I ate what was served to me. Didn't think it could be any one. I just thought it was food. Ate what was served to me, loved animals simultaneously. And then at 11 years old, there was a chicken in my school, and she was really frightened. And I was holding her in my arms and helping her stop trembling and letting her know that she wasn't alone. And the principal came in and said, "Stop petting the chicken. We got to get her to the slaughterhouse." And she kind of pulled her out of my arms and walked out with her. And my little 11-year-old brain is like, what is she talking about? And it was in that moment that I realized that that was chicken and rice. And so I went home and declared that I would never eat animals again. And I didn't. But I did partake in cheese and dairy and eggs and honey because I didn't realize that that was hurting anybody. When I started the Gentle Barn in 1999, there was a volunteer, like literally in the first month of opening the Gentle Barn, there was a volunteer that asked if I was vegan. And I very proudly said that I had not eaten animals since I was 11. And he said, "Yeah, but what about dairy and eggs?" And I said, "Oh, but that doesn't hurt anybody." And he gave me a really wonderful education in that moment. He let me know that cows, just like all mammals, have breast milk for their babies. And the only way that we can get milk from cows is by impregnating them, killing the babies, and stealing the breast milk for humans to drink. In the egg industry, these eggs hatch, and these little chickens spend their entire lives in cages laying eggs and get destroyed at only 2 years old so they can replace them for younger chickens that will lay more. And that all birds in the world only lay about 7 eggs a year, and chickens are no exception. It's just because they're genetically engineered to lay way more eggs earlier than they're supposed to and way more than they're supposed to. It's because of that exploitation that we have created an egg industry, but it's not natural in any shape or form. And I went vegan on the spot, and that was 25 years ago.
Wow. So never looked back. And was it done, when you look back on that conversation, was it done in a respectful way? How did he approach you? And what did you learn from that in terms of educating other people?
Well, I think he told me the facts. And I think that there's so many people that respond differently, right? Some of us know the facts, but don't have a heart connection to it and have to actually meet an animal to awaken. Some of us love animals, but just don't know the details. And when we get the information, we change immediately. Some people, it's a process, and it's a long and gentle journey where they're maybe eating less meat or maybe trying to be more conscious. And then little by little, they start giving up things. So everybody's on their own journey and evolving at their own pace. For me, I was born an animal lover and never, ever wanted to hurt them. And so with that information, I was able to make a change right away, because there's no way I want to go to sleep at night knowing that somebody suffered or died for me to live.
And I'm catching on to you using the phrase somebody, and I know that that is not unintentional. It's a way of respecting all beings on an equal level. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I feel very strongly that we're all the same. We just look different. We all show up in different forms. I'm a very spiritual person. I think that we incarnate in form, and then our spirits go to our next phase of our journey. And I think that underneath this meat suit, we are all the same. The soul in each of us is the same, feeling happiness and sadness, having best friends and loving our families, feeling fear for the same reasons, and just wanting a good life.
Wanting a good life with my little doggy sitting next to me here, basking in my energy. Yeah, exactly. So you talked about feeling the fear of the chicken, and I think that you were holding at school that day. And I think that goes beyond the trembling of the chicken, and you have a wonderful ability to communicate with animals. Talk to us a little bit about that.
It was interesting because I was in a very crowded auditorium with hundreds of kids running and playing and laughing and giggling. And I literally was the only person in that auditorium that even saw the chicken. And it was like I was called to her immediately from across the room. I immediately saw, oh, who is that in that cat carrier away across the room, tucked in a corner? And I was drawn to her and went immediately over to her, and then saw that she was scared, and I could understand the noise and the fear of being in a packed auditorium like that all by themselves. But I've had that connection with animals since I was a very, very small child. When I remember being 3 years old and toddling barefoot off into the woods behind my house, sitting down underneath a tree, and just having the wild birds and wild bunny rabbits just kind of hop around me. And we were together. They were my friends. We had conversations. They came close. I knew not to move, so I didn't frighten them. That was, I mean, at 3 years old, I was going pure on instinct. And then as I grew older, there were a lot of experiences where there was someone off in the woods or the lakes that was lost or injured or orphaned and called to me. And I would hear these calls kind of in my mind, and I would skip off to find them and bring them home. I just started training dogs professionally at 11 years old because the conversation that I had with animals was so easy. And it confused me a little bit to find out that other people couldn't hear what they were saying. So it's just part of me.
Do you think that, sorry to interrupt, do you think that everybody's born with that same instinct that you had when you were 3 years old, just they've grown out of it and don't listen anymore?
I do. I believe that.
Sorry, I was going to say not to little what you're doing to say that everybody has it, but in a sense, don't you think? Yeah.
I do. I believe that every single solitary living being on this planet, humans, insects, mammals, fish, it doesn't matter. Every single life form is intuitive and connected. We're all connected to each other. And if you look back in tribal and Aboriginal cultures, they practiced that. They talked about it. They had ceremony around it. They passed it from one generation to the next. That the veil between this physical world and the spirit world was very thin, and you could talk to your ancestors and your loved ones on the other side, and you could also talk to animals. And that was a way of life. And I think all animals practice intuition. In our Western culture, unfortunately, we have lost that, whether it's because of religion or in our school system or in our very busy, high-tech, fast-paced families of origin. Somewhere along the line, we have gotten the message to listen to someone else instead of ourselves, that what we can't see, taste, smell, and touch doesn't exist, and to trust science instead of our hearts and souls, and to trust the spoken word instead of the subtle intuition and the feelings inside our own bodies. And I think that it's really tragic. And I think that that is what's leading to the demise of this environment, to the suffering of animals, to the illness in our own bodies, and to the sadness, depression, and anxiety that so many of us feel. Because the more disconnected we are from nature, the more disconnected we are from animals, the more disconnected we are from our own intuition and the small, still voice inside of ourselves, the more we're going to suffer. And the way back to happiness and wholeness is finding our own intuition again.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think that it goes beyond our own happiness, our own ability to thrive. And it really ripples out into the world. I mean, the world is in a really bad situation now, right? We're over farming through animals and plants in various ways. Our water supply is going down. So if we got back to that intuition for ourselves, I think that it wouldn't just help us within our four walls of our family, but it would also help the greater of the world.
Yeah. And I think a lot about that word dominion. You know, we were given dominion over the animals. And so therefore they're here to serve us. They're here to feed us. They're here to be exploited by us, that it's all about us and everything else is here for us. And I think that that is a gross, gross misunderstanding about that word. I think that word means it is our responsibility to take care of all other life forms. It is our responsibility to have reverence for this planet. It's our responsibility to connect and to lift each other up. And I think when we're practicing that translation of the word, then our role here on this planet is vastly different than the one we currently are serving right now.
So what do we need to be doing differently?
We need
actionable steps. Yeah.
Actionable steps. We need to develop a daily meditation practice. So we are practicing being in the stillness and in the quiet, connecting to our higher selves, and therefore connecting to everyone else around us. I highly recommend adopting a plant-based diet so that we're eating rainbows of colors from the garden and the energy of life itself instead of eating the energy of violence, pain, and suffering, because that only blocks the intuition and stops the connection. We need to spend time in nature, hugging trees or with animals or on a mountain or in a forest next to a bubbling brook. We need to connect with this beautiful planet and remember our role in protecting her and enjoying her and being grateful for her and being good stewards of her and all her creatures. And I can go on and on about this subject for a really long time, but I think if we just practice those three things, adopting a plant-based diet, adopting a daily meditation practice, and spending time in nature and spending time in the things that bring us joy, in the simple things that bring us joy, I think those things will revolutionize how you feel and your connection with everyone else.
Do you talk about that in your new book, Cow Hug Therapy? Because go out there and hugging trees and hugging cows. Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about that.
I do. So my next book coming up, available for pre-order as we speak. It's called Cow Hug Therapy, How the Gentle Barn Animals Taught Me About Life, Death, and Everything in Between. And it tells the story of some of our matriarchal, wisest, most incredible rescued animals And in their stories and in what they've taught us about recovery and finding joy in the moment.
We're just going to take a little break here because I want to share with you that growth is something that happens for everyone and every business. And we've been going through a lot of personal and professional growth here at Plant Trainers, and we want to stay connected with you. That's why we're giving away our plant-based comfort food ebook that's worth $14.99 for free at our website at planttrainers.com or by clicking the link in the show notes. Click on that, get on our newsletter because we're going to be making some serious changes and you need to be aware of what's going on. We look forward to connecting with you there. And now back to the show.
The animals have taught me so much about gratitude, meditation, being in the stillness, forgiveness, rediscovering trust. And in this book, Cow Hug Therapy, I get to share their stories with everyone. And so they can learn these life lessons as well. After living in a barnyard for over 25 years, these animals really have given me my greatest humanity. They've taught me about self-care. They've taught me about mental health. They've taught me about recovering from grief. They are the actual example of someone who loves their family, someone who serves others, but at the same time practices self-care, someone who is very adept at having and doing, but also very knowledgeable about being. And I think they have so many lessons for us. And they're in my book, Cow Hug Therapy, and I can't wait to share it with everyone.
Well, I can't wait to get my hands on it, but can you give us a little bit of insight? What can you learn from a cow in terms of self-care? That's where my brain is stuck on.
I love that. Okay, so let me start by saying how we typically show up. We're working full-time jobs, we're caring for kids, we're caring for our partners. We're always busy. We wake up, we get dressed, we're in traffic, we're in the rush hour, we work, doing for others. We come home only to make dinner, do the dishes, take care of our animals, take care of our children, take care of our partners, take care of our friends, and then we crash and go to sleep at night only to rejoin that treadmill first thing the next morning. And then a lot of us, especially women, like we don't even know how to take a compliment, let alone receive gifts, right? You know, if you typically when you tell another woman, oh my God, you look so beautiful today. What, me? Oh my God, no, I look terrible. Or this old thing, I just threw it on. Or
I bought it at Walmart.
Right? We deflect compliments. We deflect real love. We deflect kindness from others. And we're constantly giving ourselves away, but never replenishing and never allowing ourselves to receive. Okay, that is nothing even remotely to what cows do. For the last 25 years, I have watched our incredible cow herds, and especially the matriarch. And I talk a lot about the matriarchs in my book, Cow Hug Therapy. So cow culture is everything that we should be when we awaken to love. They're a matriarchal society. They're plant-based, so they harm no one. Their teeth and hooves are designed so that when they walk through a pasture, they leave it better off than when they found it. Their highest ethic and value is taking care of their family and showing love to everyone around them. So they're constantly grooming each other and sitting next to each other. They face their challenges head on. They don't go into denial and they don't run away. They face it, they problem solve, and they try to figure out how to find a win-win solution for everybody. And they're 100% inclusive. So all the other animal species that we rescue at the Gentle Barn, there is a very, very long and lengthy and involved introduction phase with a new animal. But with a new cow, we can put them into our cow pasture and the other cows will immediately accept them. They're 100% inclusive. So watching the matriarchs over the last 25 years of the Gentle Barn, she wakes up in the morning, they join together for breakfast. They all eat side by side. Nobody's shoving, nobody's pushing, nobody's saying, I want more. Hey, I got here first. They are very calmly and peacefully allowing space for the entire herd to get in there and eat breakfast together. After breakfast, the matriarch grooms every single member of her family, grooms them and licks them and interacts with them and shows her love for them. Once the grooming circle is finished, she lays down and she leads the family into a meditation, and they meditate every single day. They spend time in the stillness and the quiet and the peace, connecting with each other and connecting to themselves. And then throughout the rest of the day, she is serving her loved ones. She's there when they're born to celebrate birth. She's there when they pass away to bid them farewell, to give them courage as they cross over, and to mourn with the rest of her family once they leave. But she eats when she's hungry. She drinks when she's thirsty. She rests when she's tired. She receives the love and the nurturing from the other cows as they groom her. So yes, she's in service, but at the same time, she's taking care of herself. She doesn't say, oh, I'm really tired, but let me get up and groom you because you haven't been groomed. She says, I'm going to groom you, but then guys, I'm going to sit here and meditate because that's important to me too. And you know what? I'm going to sit here and take a nap because that's important to me too. And in the cow culture, the rest is just as important as the work.
I wish that we put that into our lives a little bit more and just basked in that. So many of my clients say, I need to push through. I need to take my kids to the park, and I need to do this and I need to do that. But then they're more tired, they're more sick, they're more inflamed, their hormones are more off by the end of the day, by the end of the week, by the end of the month, by the end of the year, and they haven't given themselves enough chance to rest. And often we don't like to ask for help, or we think the child needs to go to the park every single day, which in theory would be wonderful. But if it means that you can't be the best mother that you could be, maybe we need to rethink that a little bit too. So, and I've been there. So I'm not saying, that I'm not blaming society for that, because society maybe, but individuals, because I've been there as well. But if we took more time to rest ourselves, if we're not going to get better, then why spend all this time on social media? Why watch the Netflix when we can lie down and sleep and feel better? So there's so much to learn there. That's so incredible.
There's a story that I write about in my new book, Cow Hug Therapy, where I got very, very, very sick. And instead of acknowledging that I wasn't well and I needed to go seek some help, I kept pushing through it and working and working and working until I literally couldn't stand up. I was completely yellow. I was very anemic. And my husband basically picked me up and forced me to go to the emergency room. I was still not taking it seriously when the emergency room packed with people who I thought were much more in distress than I was. They took one look at me, ushered me immediately back. I ended up a week in the hospital with 3 blood transfusions and a very stern lecture from the doctor saying that I almost died. And I think that was the moment where I was like, you know what? I have this long list of those that I care for. And it's not that I'm the last one on my list. I'm not even on my list. I am not on my list at all. I am busy giving everything I have and I am away to everyone else. And I'm not taking care of myself even a smidge. And I realized that I need to stop living like that because I am no good to anyone if I'm dead. I want to keep doing this work and I want to keep serving animals and humans. And in order to do that, I have to serve myself. And so learning from the cows, I have put myself on my own list. And now I make sure to meditate every single day. I make sure to go to sleep early so I'm getting the rest. I am feeding myself proper nutrition, a whole foods, plant-based diet, so I have the energy that I need. And I make sure that every single day I'm doing at least one thing that brings me joy, whether it's time in my barnyard or a hike in nature or a bubble bath or time with a girlfriend. I am starting to care for myself the same way that I care for those around me. And I learned that from the cows and it's changed my life.
Absolutely love that. And I've had those moments in my life where I've had to get real with myself and say, Shoshana, why do you think that you're so special that you don't need to be cared for as well? Right? So we are special, and that's why we need to be cared for. I have one more question about the cows accepting the new ones. And I guess I'm kind of asking it already knowing the answer, but I feel like it needs to be asked. There's different breeds of cows. Breed the right, so they're different colors or they come from different places. Is there any kind of cowism, or you know what I'm getting at, right? Doesn't matter where they come from, doesn't matter what color their spots are, if they have spots or how big they are, they accept everybody, correct?
Yeah, in the 25-year history of the Gentle Barn with 3 locations and hundreds of cows, big ones, small ones, fat ones, thin ones, young ones, old ones, different breeds. Some have horns, some don't. Some were from the dairy industry, some were from the meat industry. Some were moms, some were single, male, female. It didn't matter. Across the board over the course of the last 25 years, they are 100% inclusive. They don't care who somebody is, what they look like, where they've come from. They are 100% inclusive. Now, don't get me wrong. A new cow is going to have a conversation of like, who's the boss? Who's the matriarch? Who's the leader? They're going to demand respect, right? We just got a new cow at our California location. Her name is Rosalie. And she came in and she's very strong in personality. So she came in and she looked around. She said, I'm the boss. And for a while, we've not had a matriarch because our last matriarch passed away. And that's why we got Rosalie, is because she's coming in to be the matriarch. So the one that's been taking care of the herd over the last few weeks is our male cow, Roy. Roy was the one that was grooming and kind of trying to lead meditations. I mean, he's not a matriarch, but he was trying to take care of everybody. And so when Rosalie came, she was like, okay, guys, I'm the new matriarch. And Roy was like, hey, I was in charge. And so they had words, not fighting, not aggressive, not hurting each other, but they bonked heads, which is how cows interact with each other and communicate. And they kind of had this negotiation. Roy was like, well, I was here first. And Rosalie was like, well, I understand that, but you're not a female and I'm here to be the matriarch. And Roy was like, but I've been doing a good job. And Rosalie was like, you have been doing a good job, but now I'm here. You can step down. We'll rule together. And they had this negotiation for about 20 minutes, after which Roy was like, okay, fine, you're right. And he walked away. And Rosalie's been the matriarch ever since. Wow. But it was a very civilized discussion. It was not hurting each other at all.
Lessons we could learn from cows.
Yeah.
All right. So you have your new book coming out, Cow Hug Therapy, and you have My Gentle Barn as well. If people want to learn more about you, find your books, find out more about the Gentle Barn, where would you like them to go?
So go to gentlebarn.org, find out where we're located, how you can visit, how you can follow us on social media and fall in love with these animals. To find out more about me and animal communication and the energy healing that I do, people can go to ellielaks.com.
Beautiful. Simple. We're going to link to that at our show notes at planttrainers.com. Ellie, it has been wonderful talking to you today. I have so much to think of, so much going on in my head, such amazing ideas for titles for this podcast. So I hope that people do reach out to you and come join the conversation with your podcast post at Plant Trainers on Instagram as well. And I look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, Shoshana, for what you do and for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Plant Trainers podcast. We want to make sure that you subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platform.
We really appreciate the feedback we receive from you. Every time we get a 5-star rating or review on iTunes from one of our fans, it really helps other people find us just like you did.
Thanks so much to our patrons. To become a patron, visit us at patreon.com/planttrainers. Even supporting us with $1 really makes a difference in the quality of the show.
And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram and Twitter. Our handle is @PlantTrainers. Like Plant Trainers on Facebook, join our newsletter, and check out our website at planttrainers.com for awesome recipes, a list of our services, and of course, our latest podcast.
We encourage you to email your questions to info@planttrainers.com so that we can help you improve your quality of life through nutrition and fitness.
So we hope we've inspired you today. Join us again next time and have a healthy day. Or is that too corny?
It's a little cheesy.